Welcome back again to BBB Sharing. I'm Evie, Director of Ignite, sparked by BBB. And we're here again with Mr. Tom Leonard. Hello.
Hello.
And, of course, Barry Moore.
Evie, this has been the greatest afternoon.
It
We're
has.
recording like a couple minutes. I told Tom, we have learned so much. You're an inspiring kind of guy. And I even told him we need the Tom Leonard's Corner right here once a month.
We
He's
do.
gotta
It's different mindset and different,
He is
advice.
fresh.
It really is.
It's fresh.
And being able to talk to you and listen to your advice and, your business model is really inspiring, number one. And number two, Barry calls me a sponge. I absorb everything. How I'm not writing notes right now, but I will go back later and write notes in my notebook.
You will.
But one of the topics that I did want to touch base on, and it's something that I noticed, we did touch base on it earlier a little bit more, and it's something that I noticed is a recurring issue. You brought up how you spoke at a round table one time, and in particular, Food Lion said they have 100% employee turnover. How is it that you avoid that problem in your grocery store, and what's some advice that you can give other employees, not just in grocery stores, but in general? Business leaders, how can they keep their employees?
Well, Bennett Cerf, the great author and poet, said once, "A pat on the back is only a few vertebrae from a kick in the pants, but a mile apart in the results that it brings." And that if you're running around and you're criticizing or correcting, I should probably say this, that right now it's very competitive with people. And, the cost of the team are up. We're up at least 30% more than we were pre-pandemic. Those are real costs. Insurance costs are skyrocketing for, the people, the team. Everything is, those are real costs. At the same time, transportation, diesel fuel, trucking, all that stuff is up. So when we get the product, it's often, to transition it right into the business where you can get it right on the tables and get the lettuce from California or whatever. What happens is that's very expensive to get that there, and it takes people, and to turn over those people because of whatever reason, you can't really not only do it, but you can't afford to do it because you have to retrain everybody. And that, it's, team. They say team stands for together, everyone accomplishes more. It's working together that you get a goal. And so as the leader of the company, you have to have a goal, but communicating with everybody and trying to make them feel like they're part of the team. And they, and find the things that they're doing right a lot of times. The little things don't really matter. I mean, if you spend time, we only hire maybe one out of every maybe 10 who apply, and we hire them strictly on attitude. And people are going to say, whoa, that's strange. Because what we have found at Tom Leonard's and at Stu Leonard's is, and I'm sure that you, Crop fan, would agree with me on this, is that it's very difficult in order to fix a person after 16 years old. If the parents haven't done a good job with them, we can't do it. I mean, I would love to be able to, there are exceptions to the rule and everything, but for the most part, if they don't care, they don't like people, I can send them to Dale Carnegie courses or whatever, and it's not going to make any difference because they don't like people. So attitude is the most important thing, because if you take a person who has a good attitude like yourself, or anybody who's in any kind of business, we're just talking about the food business today, and you just put them in a problem situation, if they have a good attitude and they have a goal, well, they'll make the right decision 99% of the time. But, sometimes they make a mistake like I do, and that, you just got to fix it and off you go. But getting and keeping really good people help the business grow, and it helps them make. I can also say this: if you have high turnover in a company, you have low margins. Okay, if you want to make money, you don't turn your people over. That's just. I mean, you want to get right down to it. That's what it comes down to.
It's generational. So from Evie, Tom, you and I, you learned from your dad, your family, in that kind of business. Then you went off on your own, and when me growing up in the car business, right? I grew up with Vietnam vets. They were Vietnam vets in the car business, New Jersey, high pressure, screaming, yelling, drug problems, alcohol problems, everything going on, but they knew how to do the business. And it wasn't a straightforward business back then. And all this stuff wasn't in writing. There were no computers. So they trained me. So when I got the opportunity to become a manager, in this town is a good example. In 99, I started. I have a lot of alumni out there. And I think the one difference in style today versus back then, I knew how to scream, curse, yell, push pressure on people. But people responded, I believe, because I got facts to that. It did work. And also, 5 people were looking for that one job. The job market was different. They were raised different. They didn't have the cell phone. They didn't have their head in the phone. They weren't as smart. They just wanted to make money. Today, these kids are educated. They read, they Google things, they know, and they want to be treated differently. So I will tell you, over decades, 40 years of the car business, I probably did a lot of bad things and a lot of great things. One thing I always required, whenever I yelled, screamed, put pressure on people, it was for them to be their best. It was not about my ego or about mine. My persona, it was about getting you to be the best you could be, like Vince Lombardi. So it was from growing up in sports. When I coach, I played football. If he kicked me in the butt, I didn't go home and tell Dad. My dad would laugh at me. But today, the coach would be fired. So the world has changed. And I think as we get more mature, and it's got nothing to do with age, more years under our belt, successes, failures, you learn to adapt. And so here at this job, it's given me a whole new way because I work for my employees and my consumers, which are all one and the same because my employees are consumers. So I got the greatest job in the world, but it's helped me become a different level-minded person. Sometimes I get not heated, but I get a little sarcastic or I get a little more demanding because I can see people are letting down their guard or they're letting themselves down, which then lets the customer down. So I know you were going to have to say something, but I just wanted to bring that up from a conversation. Love to talk more. Go ahead.
So I will say, both of you mentioned the word support, and Barry gets worried all the time. He's like, I don't want to send you here because what if someone talks to you and then they hand you like a business card and they tell you to like go work for them? And I'm like, you don't understand. The environment that I get to work in here is priceless compared to any offer I may get out there because I have Barry's support. I've fallen flat on my face, made mistakes, but I love knowing that I can walk in his office and we're going to talk about the mistakes that I made, but there's going to be room to grow. And I'm going to be able to sit down and have a conversation with him, and he's going to say, okay, so how do you think this went? And I'm going to have like a mile-long list of all the things I think I did wrong. And he's going to be like, okay, it wasn't that bad. So a lot of the times, having that space to grow and having that support is really the most valuable thing for me because I can take from where I started in January here and from where I am now and be like, wow, it's a total 180.
That truly is. Yeah. And you must see that. So it's like, and let me correct one thing. I never say I'm worried about you going somewhere. I forewarn her.
He does forewarn
that
me.
The demons are out there,
yes.
Those rotten people. But I know you got. I
ran into his office one time. I did a podcast in here. And the person that I did the podcast with handed me a business card, and they were like, "We're hiring." And I ran into Barry's office. I was like, "This guy just tried to hire me in my own podcast studio."
We've had that. We had that when Stu Leonard's. We'd go on one of our deer trips up to Rochester, New York, where Wegmans was back when Bobby Wegman worked with his father up there many 50 years ago, and that we had one of his managers come up and actually say, hey, listen, if you guys are interested, I'd love to come down to Connecticut, go work for you. And I remember my dad went over to Danny Wegman and said, listen, here, and gave him the card. He said, you might want to put your arm around this guy a little bit more. He's ready to go. Yeah. And we would never hire in a family business. I mean, that is like the one rule you never do. You never hire in a family business somebody else because that comes back and haunts you, and you don't want that kind of reputation. We're all about working together, and that, when we would go visit a store, and we went around I've been with Sam Walton, Sal Price, started a Price Club that started Costco, all that stuff. When we go and visit a store, there were rules at Stu Leonard's that we had to do. Let me give you an example of how simple it is. One, they had to expect you. You can't walk in, okay? They had to know you were coming because that's what you want them to do when you want to get the place looking nice for them, okay? Two is that you have to find something right. Okay, you can't walk in and put your hands in your pockets like you can tell people. That happens to us all the time. These executives walking through and they have their hands in their pocket. They might as well save them the trip. But you have to find something good that they're doing because that's what they want to hear. And they'll tell you all the secrets. Oh, let me tell you what we're doing over here. Because they have a friend. And the third thing is that you always have to write a thank you note. And that you can't send a text. You can't do anything. The only thing I would like to add with what Barry said about the car business back when he started and what it is now, the only difference is, and it's true with a lot of people your age too, is that you have your resume out at 5 different companies all the time now. They're on the internet all over the place. And that wasn't true. I disagree with that. I think I could probably give some good advice to some young people. If they found a company that they liked, I'd stick with it because you're going to be the one that has the house someday when your friends don't. Because if you jump around, and it's like a person who, here's some advice for a young person. They are at a job, they particularly like it or don't like it, it doesn't really matter, but somebody comes in and offers them a job at $4 or $5 an hour more, and they go, I could use you right away, and they go, I could start on Monday. Let me tell you something. You know what the person does who's hiring them? Says they're going to do the same thing to me. They're going to walk out on me if somebody offers them a few more dollars. Instead, what you got to do is you got to say, listen, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to work 2 weeks for you or 3 weeks, whatever that time is, but I'm going to leave here on the best foot forward because I want to have a good reputation. And that people don't think about that anymore. They're just jumping for 50 cents or $1 an hour, and they're ended up really hurting themselves because they don't develop the character that makes them a really good team member, that makes them worth more money.
Yeah.
So
when COVID hit, I had just graduated and I needed a job because I wanted to, get out of my house. I didn't want to be stuck in the house anymore. And I worked for my aunt's company opening up charter schools across the U.S. in low-income neighborhoods, but it was a remote position. And after a couple years, loved what I did, but I decided I wanted to be more around people some more. But I wasn't ready to go into the family business yet. And so my dad was like, well, Teresa, his sales rep for Cisco, said they're hiring. Why don't you apply for the position? And I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and apply for it, I knew almost immediately it was not going to be the job for me. But I felt pressure from my dad. And finally, I went through the whole interview process, and I got a call that I got the job. And I said, Mom, should I take it? I don't know what to do. She's like, I think you should take it. It'll be good for you. So I got the job, and the day of my onboarding, I live in Harrisonburg where the HQ was for Cisco. I put my hands on the kitchen chair on the back of it, and I looked at my mom, and I started crying, and I was like, I think I'm making the biggest mistake ever. And she said, no, don't say that. It's just your nerves. It's just your nerves. 6 months later, I gave them my 2 weeks notice, and I apologized profusely. And I said, I knew that I was doing you all a disservice by accepting this position from the very beginning. And I apologize, but I feel that I need to let this position go now so that you can find somebody that's better fit for the role. And I met my best friend, my very best friend that I love like my sister, working for Cisco. And she is amazing at it. I watched her work day in and day out. She was built for that job. So it's not impossible. It just wasn't for me.
Right. And you realize that.
Says a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
The way you did that. That's a first-class way to do it.
And that's what she's been. And that's why his Ignite program and everything she's representing for our community in 42 counties, she's making a serious difference with every conversation we have. So last question, we're at 14 minutes. So we said 10, but
We did.
No,
We
Barry,
always go over.
I added too much, and I think Tom might be a lot like me. This might 5 minutes conversations, 3 hours.
The conversations
it's
that
been
are
a-
off the air that are the good ones here.
Yeah. Tom, direct question. I didn't ask you this ahead. I'm catching you spotting. He's getting nervous. Look at him. But he's a disciplined mind. The best product that you sell, pick one item. What do people have to have from Tom Leonard's Market? One.
Filet mignon.
There you
That's
go.
our whole fork tender filet mignons are a home run.
How much is it per pound?
I don't know what. I think they're $16.99
There you
today.
go.
That's very
There
second
you
over
go.
there now.
I've
But
had a couple
My
pieces
mom
of
loves
beef. They're
filet
Well, we
very
mignon.
cut
I'll
'em-
have to go get her some.
You do.
we
Yeah.
custom cut them free for all the customers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a great product.
You want a 3 pound one or 2 pound one or whatever,
Yeah.
chisel it down.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's a service. Seedless watermelon?
Not right now, but
But you do have it.
Yeah.
I've gotten
Yeah.
it there.
Yeah.
Corn?
Oh yeah.
See, all the
Yeah.
things. Donuts?
Yep.
Muffins?
Yep.
See, he's got it all.
Yeah.
Visit.
Tom Leonard.
You got to visit the market. You just got to try the experience. So thank you. Have a
No,
good
you're
wrap it
welcome.
up.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard, for
You're
coming
my
in.
pleasure.
I had a great time talking to you, getting to know you more. Barry, thank you for your input.
Thank
Always
you for the
wonderful.
fun. You did great.
Everyone watching and listening, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe on BBB Central VA YouTube channel. Thank
Here
you
it
very
is,
much.
the logo.
The logo. And please make sure to follow us on Spotify at BBB Sharing.
Next
Thank
time
you.
he's going to bring lobster. We're going to hang it.
That's
Hold it
right.
up.
Oh, yeah, Barry was looking
Goodbye.
forward to it
I
today.
don't even eat lobster. Goodbye.